Now we'll hear from Michele Stillwell-Parvensky, who is Senior Policy and Communications Associate at the Children's Defense Fund, California. Good to see you again.
Thank you. My name is Michele Stillwell-Parvensky, Children's Defense Fund, California. I want to thank the subcommittee for having this critical forward-thinking panel on how we can reduce child poverty and for your continued dedication to looking at the issues of the devastating impact that child poverty has on children and families. Child poverty is a moral and economic crisis in our state. More than 1 in 4 California children live in poverty, 2.2 million children, and more than 1 in 3 African American and 1 in 3 Latino children in our state live in poverty. As Director Lightbourne mentioned, growing up poor negatively impacts the entire trajectory of a child's life. Child poverty creates gaps in cognitive skills that we can see as early as 9 months old, and those gaps continue to grow as children age. Extreme poverty can also produce toxic stress that literally rewires a child's brain and can affect the functioning of their brain for life. Child poverty jeopardizes children's health and their ability to learn. All of those disadvantages of poverty compound and produce lifetime negative consequences. We know that children who are born in poverty or grow up poor are less likely to graduate from high school, less likely to find a well-paying job, more likely to have poor health, and more likely to end up in the criminal justice system. Ultimately, child poverty fuels an intergenerational cycle of poverty because poor children are more likely to grow up to be poor adults and parents. Furthermore, we can't afford child poverty and its substantial economic costs. Research shows that child poverty costs the nation an estimated $500 billion a year in terms of lost productivity and earnings and increased health care and crime costs. Letting a quarter of our children grow up poor prevents them from having the equal opportunities to succeed and also robs our state and our nation of their future contributions. But we know what to do on child poverty. Child poverty is a solvable problem. Based on analysis from the nonprofit Urban Institute, the Children's Defense Fund came out with a new report, Ending Child Poverty Now, that found that the nation could reduce child poverty by 60% and lift 6.6 million children out of poverty, including 1.3 million California children, by investing 2% of the federal budget in expanding existing federal programs that work. At the state level, California can significantly reduce child poverty by investing in effective state programs and policies. A bold vision to end child poverty in California involves a combination of strategies and programs that we know work. We know that our current social safety net is already playing a critical role in reducing child poverty. New data released today from the Annie Casey Foundation finds that without government interventions, 40% of California children would be poor. So if not for those investments in the federal EITC, the child tax credit, CalFresh, housing subsidies, and other programs, nearly 1.3 million more children in California would live in poverty. These data underscore how effective government interventions can be in reducing child poverty, but clearly we're not doing enough, and California's safety net is stretched too thin, and well-paying jobs are too rare to protect all children from poverty. I've passed out our report that includes 8 recommendations on how California can reduce child poverty right now. I know that we're running a little short on time, so I will just touch on them briefly and would be happy to follow up with more information. 1, enact a refundable state earned income tax credit. I would echo my fellow panelists on the benefits of a state EITC as one of the most effective tools for reducing child poverty. 2, raise the minimum wage to bring working poor families out of poverty and closer to self-sufficiency. 3, expand the number of child care slots for low-income children. Making child care affordable to families reduces child poverty by enabling parents to work and increasing their economic security. High-quality child care also breaks the cycle of poverty in the long run by fostering children's brain development and enabling future economic and academic success. 4, restoring the refundability of the state tax credit for child-independent care expenses, which helps families pay for child care. The state credit was originally refundable, which meant that low-income families who didn't have tax liability were able to benefit. Unfortunately, in 2011, due to budget cuts, we eliminated the refundability of that credit, meaning that the families and children who need it most are unable to benefit. 5, protect children from extreme poverty by increasing CalWORK's benefits and eliminating the maximum family grant rule. CalWORK's grant levels are below the deep poverty threshold of 1/2 the federal poverty line. Furthermore, the maximum family grant rule in CalWORKs denies additional basic needs assistance for children who are born to a family who is already receiving aid. This MFG rule pushes families deeper into poverty at the most developmentally critical time of a newborn baby. 6, fund transportation for low-income children so they're able to promote children's regular attendance and success in school and increase their access to public resources. 7, reduce child hunger by increasing participation in CalFresh, which is particularly important here in California, given that we have one of the lowest participation rates in the nation. And finally, 8, invest in affordable housing by providing dedicated resources to develop rental housing that is affordable to extremely low-income families, dealing with the housing instability point that was brought up earlier. California cannot afford to continue allowing 1 in 4 children to grow up in poverty, harming their health and well-being and undermining their future academic and economic success. The research and the statistics clearly demonstrate the importance of reducing poverty, but the real reason why we must take action is to protect all of the California children who are hungry or homeless or hopeless about their future. So that's children like Zachary, who's a CDF Beat the Odds honoree from South LA, who feels the weight of having to provide for his family so they won't need to sleep in their car again. It's children like Brianna, who's a CDF Freedom School scholar from Long Beach, who shares a small, overcrowded home with 10 family members and sometimes can't afford a bus pass to get to school. It's children like Liz from Los Angeles, who shares what it's like to go to bed hungry, stomach growling, unable to sleep, waiting for a new day. Let us make a new, brighter day for poor children in California. The solutions to child poverty in California already exist if we are willing to invest in them. If we can build the political will together to end child poverty, we can ensure that all California children have the opportunity to meet their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stillwell-Parvensky. Thank you very much.